So Starfield came out and people are kind of freaking out.
I'm Pickle Rick!
Half the people are saying it's the worst game they played in their lives. They're saying that Starfield has ruptured the very fabric of Western society. They're screaming that Starfield is coming into our homes, eating all our food, drinking all our booze, and taking all our women. The other half are saying that if you hate Starfield, you're just an unsophisticated buffoon who knows not the beauty of the universe. You just have to reach the 200-hour mark to really enjoy Starfield. Me? I kinda took a break from gaming. I haven't gamed at all for the past couple of months. I've been too busy touching grass. That is, until Starfield came out. Starfield is a Bethesda game, and Bethesda games are special. Bethesda games, like I said, they're special. They're uniquely immersive experiences that are also full of the dumbest, most downright confusing shit in gaming history. And for some reason, I feel like talking about them. Well, the ones I played. And no, I can't be bothered to talk about Fallout 76. My friends, I'd like to invite you on a journey, an odyssey into the worlds of Bethesda Game Studios.
Fabulous. That's great. Good for you.
Strap in, grab some snacks, and let's enjoy this ride. I want to begin this journey by getting through all the bad stuff in Bethesda games. And where better to begin than Chapter 1, Starfield. Just for the record, I overall really like Starfield, but there's one thing I need to get off my chest. Starfield is an action-adventure space exploration game where there is no space exploration. There is no space exploration! If you haven't played Starfield, there are two ways to travel from one planet to the other. There's the fast travel option, where you find the special little planet you want to travel to and just click the fast travel button. And then there's the immersive option, where you walk to your spaceship, press E to board your spaceship, watch a loading screen, walk to your cockpit, press E to sit in your cockpit, press E to undock your spaceship, watch a loading screen, float in space, open your menu, click on the special little star system you want to go to, watch a loading screen, float in space, open your menu, click on the special little planet you want to land on, watch a loading screen, press E to leave your spaceship, watch a loading screen, and now finally, after 2 menus and 5 loading screens, you have finally taken the immersive route to your planet of choice. This isn't space exploration, it's menus and loading screens. Game development is really hard, and I don't ever want to be ungrateful and not recognize the effort that goes into creating the amazing experiences that video games can give us. But, for the love of God! For the love of God! What the fuck were you thinking, Bethesda? Who gave this the okay? This is stupid as shit! In the very beginning of the game, you get your spaceship and you shoot up into space, and the objective of like the second mission of the main story is to fly to Mars or some shit. And like a dumbass, like an idiot, I pointed my spaceship to what I thought was Mars, and I flew my ship forwards for like 10 minutes. You cannot fly to Mars. You cannot fly to any planet. All this shit you see in space, it's a lie. To actually land on another planet, you have to open up the menu. For 10 minutes, I sat there like a dork, holding the W key. This is so embarrassing, but while I was holding down that W key, I can remember thinking to myself, I can't wait to upgrade my engines. I can't wait to unlock hyperspeed. Bruh. It really does suck that being in your spaceship outside of very specific gameplay scenarios is basically useless, because being in your spaceship is so cool. The first time I manned my spacecraft, I'll gladly put my hands up and admit it. I nutted. I bust. It felt amazing. And the fact that that bus was a lie? Shit. If I ever find the person who gave this system the all clear, I'm gonna punish you the way you punished me. Chapter 2. They don't make any sense. I hate lore. I think lore is one of the worst things to happen to storytelling. It annoys me how many people on the internet think that more lore equals good storytelling. It does not. 95% of lore is literally just made up words. The scummiest commoner people of LeBron James Valley fill a chart in the ding-dongs of Eat My Ass Bay. Shut up. You are stupid. With that being said, I think Fallout has, in my opinion, one of the top 3 most interesting and thought-provoking lores in fiction history. I bet you weren't expecting that little Uno reverse card, were you? Well, here's another one. Fallout 3 makes no sense. Fallout 3 is set 200 years after the apocalypse. 200 years is a long-ass time. Enough time to reorganize, rebuild, and recover. Not according to Bethesda Game Studios. In Fallout 3, 200 years after a nuclear apocalypse, which most people were actually sheltered from, humans are still living in shacks and scraping pre-war food from the bottom of barrels. Chat, is this real? Give me and the boys 200 years and we'll have built Shangri-La. We'll have built pyramids. In Fallout 3, it just feels like when you step back, the logic isn't logicking. In Fallout 3, people still choose to live next to a live bomb. A live bomb.
Huh?
It's been 200 years, citizens of Megaton. Maybe, just maybe, stop living next to a live bomb. The very first time you enter Megaton, the sheriff comes up to you and is like, I'm really worried about this bomb in the middle of my town. If you disarm it, random person who I don't know, I'll give you 100 caps. Bro, what? Man like the sheriff, man like Lucas Sims offers you pocket change, offers you a box of Krispy Kremes to prevent the imminent destruction of his people.
What the hell? Oh my God, no way.
I definitely think that Bethesda know there are logical holes to their world building and storytelling, but they take a as long as it's cool, who cares kind of approach, which low-key I actually do fuck with. I'm not one of those guys who goes guerrilla mode because of tiny little plot holes in a 2-hour film. But still, when a game is all about immersion, and it has you successfully immersed, it's just really annoying to have a bunch of obviously contrived BS forcefully slammed down your throat while you're tied up in a straitjacket and thrown in an Iron Maiden. Fallout 4 is the worst at this. There are too many times where the game will just slap you in the face with a hold up a minute type of moment. The motivations and actions of the factions do not really make sense. And in a game that's all about factions, that's a problem. Fallout New Vegas is a game published by Bethesda, featuring a Bethesda game world, but is not actually made by Bethesda. New Vegas has fleshed out and consistent world building and factions that have understandable motivations and modus operandi. You have the New California Republic, which is most like a present-day government. Troopers, bureaucracy, presidents. The NCR represents order and protecting the status quo. You'll like these guys if you think toothpaste is spicy. Then there's Kaiser's Legion, a totalitarian dictatorship built on the conquest and enslavement of tribal societies in the Mojave. You might enjoy this faction if you have a loving middle-class family and still behave like mid-2000s Shadow the Hedgehog. And finally, there's Mr. House, the elusive owner of the Vegas Strip. You'll enjoy this faction if you give great advice, but never listen to your own advice. Fallout New Vegas plays like a Bethesda game, looks like a Bethesda game, sounds exactly like a Bethesda game, but, and this is a big but, the writing, world building, the ability to make choices that you actually care about making, take this game to another level. Writing, even in video games, does matter, people. To this day, people still argue over which faction in New Vegas is right.
To this day.
In Bethesda games, every faction kind of feels the same and has very vague and incoherent beliefs and motivations. You just can't invest into them the same way. The factions of Fallout 4, the Railroad, the Institute, the Brotherhood of Steel, the Minutemen, they literally all suck. They're so fucking boring. None of them make me titillate. I really hate being a pedantic Peter, so I'm gonna stop here and talk about another thing that makes Bethesda games bad, and that's Chapter 3. they're pretty shallow. Bethesda games always have a lot of different mechanics. In Skyrim, you can wield a flaming sword of destruction. You can become a hawk-eyed archer. You can adopt the way of the shadows and become a master pickpocket. And you can master the dark arts of wizardry. Kinda. Yes, you can dabble in a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but that's all you can really do. Dabble. There's a lot of frosting, but there ain't too many layers to this cheesecake. Bethesda RPGs are RPGs minus the R and the P. They're just G's.
I like your cut, G.
In every Bethesda game, you'll have a bunch of different faction quest lines to finish, and in those quest lines, you'll either save, destroy, or restore a faction back to glory. Once you've accomplished your mission, NPCs will start greeting you with generic congratulatory lines. All bow down to our savior. My lord, you look very sexy in chainmail. Hey hero, nice cock! All you really accomplish from these epic faction quest lines are those generic NPC lines of dialogue. Nothing in the game world really changes. In Fallout 4, you can become the dictator of the Institute, a secret techno superpower with a secret army of synths scattered across the wasteland. You become the dictator. Can you actually dictate? No. No, you cannot. If I'm the dictator, why can't I RNP my synth army, Bethesda? If I'm a Jarl, why can't I RNP the seedy streets of Markarth? Sad, disappointing, makes me feel like a bitch. These are some of the consequences of Bethesda role-playing. Oh, but fake role-playing. Fake role-playing isn't the worst thing about Bethesda games. Chapter 3.5. Resource management. In every Bethesda game, you are basically forced to pick up every random piece of little bullshit item you find in the world. It's so stupid. Against your will, you have to constantly click on little glowing outlines to pick up usually worthless items just because maybe you might find the most amazing, useful, meaningful piece of equipment in your entire playthrough. This is not a good system, Bethesda. In Starfield, this ish is dialed to 100,000. 60% of the crap you can pick up is actually useless. Logically, I understand this, but because I've been Pavlov dogged, because I've had my neural pathways forcefully morphed into that of a kleptomaniac, I can't help picking up styrofoam to-go cups, and clipboards, and staplers, and mixing bowls, and side trays. My hands, Bethesda, they hurt from constantly clicking all day, all night. Dopamine, click, click, click all day. More, I need more. Attention all passengers, we are reaching the end of the listen to a dude complain about video games leg of this journey. Before we finish, we gotta listen to that same dude complain about a non-Bethesda game. Annoying, I know, but we gotta do it to show what makes Bethesda games good. Little confusing, but I'm sure you'll understand soon. Chapter 4. Everyone forgot about Outer Worlds. Back in 2019, hate for Bethesda was at an all-time high. This was right after the complete dumpster fire that was the release of Fallout 76, so the hate was somewhat understandable. In the middle of all this vitriol, Obsidian, aka the dudes who made Fallout New Vegas, aka the best Fallout, hopped into the dumpster fire and said, hey, we actually have secretly made a little proper RPG, ooh, and we kinda maybe wanna release it right now and make all you RPG gamers nuts. Ooh. And just like that, the Outer Worlds came out. And just like that, everyone went crazy. Take that, Bethesda. Gamer Nation has won this battle. Never mess with gamers. And just like that, everyone forgot about the Outer Worlds. I've never seen a game with so much hype and receive so much praise just disappear from the public consciousness. The game isn't even bad at all. I played it at launch. You know, it's a proper RPG. You can make choices. The combat is decent. On paper, it's good, maybe even great, but I never finished it. I stopped after a good few hours, and that's because the game is just forgettable. It works on paper, but it doesn't make you feel anything. I don't want to speak for other people, but I think my experience was the same as a lot of other gamers. There has to be a reason why literally no one cares about the Outer Worlds. The same things that made New Vegas great still exist in Outer Worlds, but Outer Worlds seems to lack some of that Bethesda sauce. To put it simply, the Outer Worlds has no vibes. And that brings us to the second half of this journey. Finally, I get to talk about what makes Bethesda games amazing. I was getting tired of complaining, you guys. Probably the biggest reason why Bethesda games are amazing is Chapter 5, they're a vibe. At the very start of Fallout 3, you are born. No, seriously, in the very first shot, your hashtag POV is your mom's vajayjay. It's wild! After a tutorial / childhood spent inside Vault 101, upon your 19th birthday, you embark upon your journey. You leave the vault. Those first steps into the unknown, that first sight of the nuclear wasteland, I remember it like it was yesterday. It stirred up a unique cocktail of excitement, isolation, and discomfort. The purpose of art is to make you feel things. We pretend like words are perfect translators of what's going on inside our heads, but they're not. So we try and draw, write, sing, fart, act in a way that makes other people feel the way we feel. In their own stupid, cringe ways, games are also still art. I know it's a meme, but low-key, a Spider-Man game should try and make me feel like Spider-Man. That's the point, isn't it? In this age of internet video essayists, there are thousands of 500-hour-long dissections of every Bethesda game about why they're complete garbage. And you know what? A lot of those video essays, they make valid points. A lot of times, the combat, the writing, the plot, the role-playing in Bethesda games, like I've said myself, they can be completely ass. But the vibes are always immaculate. Roaming through the wasteland with a handful of shotgun shells and a broken leg, drinking radiated water on my way to see Rivet City for the first time, eating mole rat meat and getting addicted to Jet. 1930s big band music playing in the background. It makes me feel things that I just can't explain. I feel like, you know, in the game analysis scene, in the game reviewers discourse, we need things to be explainable to consider them meaningful. There has to be a why. But that Bethesda magic, that secret sauce, it low-key don't make sense. And cause it don't make sense, we underplay how beautiful it is. Vibes are the easiest things to dismiss when you're discussing whether a game is good or bad. But vibes are the hardest thing to actually create. I love the way that Elder Scrolls NPCs have fucked up Scandinavian, American, and sometimes even shitty British accents. It makes it feel like you're in a storybook world narrated by people you actually know. I love the way that character models in Bethesda games are recognizably human, but not human enough to make me feel bad about nuking them to smithereens. In Fallout 3, I nuked Megaton for the banter. I stole from every person I could. I rejected the opportunity to purify the wasteland's water. But according to my karma meter, I was a saint, beloved by the people. How? I gave a homeless guy who sat outside my 10-penny Towers apartment lots of bottles of water. That's dynamic storytelling. That's emotions. That's Bethesda. Chapter 6. The first time you played Skyrim. The year is 2011. The location is my classroom. Day by day, kids are disappearing. One by one, they each catch a case of, holy shit, Skyrim is so addictive-itis. I was not immune. The jocks played Skyrim. The gay kids played Skyrim. The dudes who ran around on all fours pretending that they were wolves, they played Skyrim. I played Skyrim. We all played Skyrim. Wii Sports, Modern Warfare 2 lobbies, picking a starter Pokemon. There are certain video game experiences that unite generations together. Skyrim was one of those experiences. I remember exactly how I felt playing Skyrim for the first time. Low-key, I was a bit hesitant to buy the game. Honestly, I'm not the biggest Dungeons and Dragons type of dude. Sci-fi is more my style, but I took the plunge because, well, literally everyone was taking the plunge. I booted up my 360, put the disc in the disc tray, beep boop beep. The game loaded and I was on a cart. All of a sudden, I find out the guy to my right is a certified bad boy named Ulfric Stormcloak. All of a sudden, I find out the guy in front of me is certifiably shitting himself. All of a sudden, we pull up to an execution stage. Mr. Shitting himself tries to make a run for it, but he gets sniped. What a titillating turn of events. And then the Roman Empire looking dudes put my head on the chopping block. And hold up, I am for real about to be executed. Fallout 3 started with birth, Skyrim started with death. Right before the separation of my head from my spine, a dragon interrupts the party. And voila, I was hooked on Skyrim. Skyrim felt and still feels like the quintessential fantasy adventure. It's the game I thought games were like when I was a tiny little kid. Before Ice Spice, there was Lydia. Before furries, there were the companions. And before I'm too old for this shit, there was I took an arrow to the knee. Listen, I know and admit that Skyrim has problems, a lot of them, and I know that nostalgia can blur you from the truth. But the emotions you feel while playing the game and the emotions you felt the first time you played the game, for me, I gotta value that higher than anything else. And I guess I just want to put it out there. I want the world to remember. It's about the feelings, dog. Chapter 7, Starfield. Did you see what I did there? Chapter 1, Starfield bad. Now chapter 7, Starfield. Starfield's good. Apart from how space exploration works, and that's a big apart from. I'm seriously loving my time with the game. The combat is pretty fun. The exploration in terms of the cities and landmarks that you actually find is super enjoyable. The main quest is pretty shit, but the side quests and factions, oh my god, seriously cool. The faction shit in Starfield has the best, most interesting stories and characters in Bethesda history. I love it. Ship combat and customization is dope. Zero G and boost packs are fire. The game is tonally much more serious compared to other Bethesda games, which I kinda wish it wasn't, but it is what it is. The game has all the flaws of past Bethesda games, but all the good stuff too. It's as Bethesda games go, and for me that's still really fun, especially with a whole new universe to experience. For me, the unique Bethesda get immersed in a different world secret source. It still exists.
It's still real to me, damn it!
Online, I see a lot of people who feel like their game didn't meet the hype, which I can't speak to. I didn't board the hype train. Like I said, I've been touching grass. But I gotta say, some people take this Todd Little Lies thing a little too far. Lying is lying, but marketing is also marketing. When he says you can explore all the planets, of course some of the planets are gonna be lame as fuck. It's still a video game with a budget and developmental time constraints. If KFC says the chicken is finger licking good, but you don't actually lick your fingers, they didn't lie. It's just marketing. You get that, right? TLDR, I like Starfield. Teehee.